For an ex-boyfriend, so after a week or two, she just kind of ghosted me. Then we tried again months later, and she ghosted me again. So this is the third time we're trying this. I know.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. Told you guys about Put a Ring on It, Season 1, Episode 2, dealing with Michael and Shay. And we're going to talk about the conversation they had with Dr. Nicole, because I think it was one of the most intriguing, interesting conversations that I think we can learn from, again, how to build healthier relationships with other people. Okay, guys, make sure you do me a favor. You like, you share, you subscribe, and click on the bell button for a notification of the uploads. And do me another favor, comment. Yeah, because I'm loving some of the comments you guys are making. All right, we appreciate it. And if you're a returnee, make sure you mineral gang, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. And don't forget to grab your merchandise. Okay, send them back to the manufacturer. Mineral gang. All right, listen, let's get into the video. So Michael and Shay, I think in the first episode, I kind of said to you guys, Michael's scared of, Shay breaking his heart, hurting him again, and just doing him dirty all over again, right? And we get that confirmation in this episode, but we get that and then some more, right? And so we're going to deal with that with the Dr. Nicole conversation that they had. What was interesting before that conversation is Shay's behavior.
Live in the past, it's not going to help you build a solid future. This week,
and one of the reasons why I say that is because when people do certain things like what Shay did, which was when she left for her ex, I thought it was once. It was actually twice she did this. Okay, so that in itself already is a problem. But when Shay left the first time, okay, I said it was a problem because she ghosted. She didn't leave, she ghosted. And there's a difference. When you leave, you have permission. In the sense of, when I say permission, you've discussed this with a person. But when you ghost, you've left, you've gone underground, you've gone MIA, you understand? And at that point when you go MIA, what you're actually saying to the person is, listen, someone else is more important than you, right? And I just want to shut you out. And then when you come back, what you're saying is, okay, cool, you're important and I want to be with you, right? But when you leave for a second time, you're actually saying that actually you've become the resting place. You're my safety net.
Moment when we first started dating, and then she disappeared, and then she came back again, and then she disappeared again.
Yeah.
And then,
you know what I mean? Like, you go back to your ex twice, and ghost me twice. I wouldn't have had it the first time, but to go on the second time, I would have never had it, because at that point I'm becoming your safety net. You can get a wham bam hello, but you ain't get a relationship, which is why I feel like Michael's not giving the marriage. Right? Because if I need to trust that you have actually been sorry for what you've done, because hold on a minute, you're going to leave me twice, bro. We'll deal with that in another situation. Trust me. What was interesting, I think, was, Michael, when they said that obviously they're going to go on a date, like I said, Michael was obviously slapping hands with Hollywood. Shay looked fearful. And, I will say this again. She should be fearful. And the reason why she should be fearful is because you are feeling what you know you could do. You're feeling that he could do the exact same thing. Let me say that again because I didn't make it very clear. You are feeling something, a fearfulness. And the fearfulness is coming from the fact that you've gone into darkness and you realize if you can go into darkness, so could he. Many times when we feel like people are behaving in a certain way, it's because we are aware of our own behavior, that we could do this. And so therefore, if we could do it, they couldn't do it. So the same way you could ghost and leave is the same way that he could ghost and leave. You feel. And now your fear is beginning to speak to you because of what you have done. And you know what? It's interesting because that's what sin does. When you begin to sin, you realize that fear begins to creep in. Why? Because it begins to open your mind up to the things that are wrong. Right? And so here in the same measure, it's like once you've gone into darkness, you realize that anybody can go into darkness. Because you thought you were good. You thought you were a good human being. And then you realize you're not good. You realize you can do bad things. You know what I mean? And so that begins to affect the way you look at your partner. And then she said, obviously, she would marry him today. Okay. Today, tomorrow, etc.
I would definitely marry Mike today, yesterday, every day of this week. I love him.
marriage is not something I think we need.
but he still doesn't think marriage is necessary. And I think I said this in the first episode. It's not that he doesn't feel marriage is necessary. You're just not assuring him right now. Something you're doing or you have done has not assured him. Something that he's experienced in the past has also been triggered by your behavior. What you did, Shay, has triggered something in the past and is now erupting now. It's what I said to you guys in the first episode when I broke it down. Okay, so and there was an interesting comment that was made. So she said obviously that him saying that marriage is not necessary, it isn't enough.
That's not enough.
And you know what? I'm not gonna lie to you. At that point, I didn't want to say it from the first episode because there was a scene where he was like, "Can I tell my story?" And she was like, "No," and she said no, and she carried on. And I said, "I don't want to say it, but Shay's a little bit controlling." I didn't want to say it, but now I'm gonna say it because she says here, it's not gonna be enough, and it's the energy she's carrying that I'm talking about, not necessarily what she said. It's the energy, and sometimes you can feel someone's energy of the way they control. Now, and I say control because of what you've done. You've gone away. Gone to your ex, come back. Gone to your ex and come back twice. That for me tells me about control. Why? Because you know you can come back whenever you want. You know what I mean? At the same time, and we know obviously he went away to and went away with another girl, etc., right? But to ghost is completely different. Do you get what I'm saying? And so when obviously Dr. Nicole mentions about if you live in the past, it's not going to help, etc., Shay twists up her head to Michael. And this is when, before they even said anything later on in the episode, I already knew this was about the ghosting situation. Do you know why? Because when someone's ghosted, the way that she told the story in the first episode, I knew she carried too much energy.
Live in the past, it's not going to help you build a solid future. This week,
there was too much pride behind the story. If I'm coming to tell you a story about how I ghosted you, I feel bad about it. I don't tell the story the way she told the story in the first episode. I'll be like, listen, look, do you know what? It was a really bad situation. We do this as well, where we knock ourselves down to let you know what I did. I knew was wrong. So you say, listen, it was bad. At the time I was being silly, and I went with the ex and I came back, and it was, I'm really sorry for that. And we've already discussed it, but every time I tell the story, I do feel bad about it because I know that was a wrong move to make. You show remorse, right? But she weren't showing that remorse. She was just telling the story like she's happy, go lucky, right? And that for me told me everything I need to know. This girl has not seen the error of her ways. She just sees it as, oh, it's happened, my bad, get over it. It's over, innit? Because he hasn't. I know she said that, so I'm not gonna go to
me. I pushed her away.
And you've been thinking about that?
I mean, it's in my head. Yeah.
are you really that stunned? I really. What'd you think you would find when you came back?
Deep, because we're doing another episode. Like, he hasn't mentioned it, he hasn't said it, he's not making a big deal of it, he's not crying, so therefore he's alright with it. That shows me that there's a lack of emotional intelligence. There's a lack of understanding or being empathetic towards a person's position when you've done that. Now, if the person did it to you, how would you feel? You're not concerned about that. You're concerned about how you are going to feel. This is actually a lot about Shay's feelings and how she feels in the relationship. I want the marriage, yeah. I've done this, but I want you to forgive me. Let me not go too deep. I'm going too far. And so when she looked at Michael, okay, twist up his head, he actually looked back at her like, what? Like, because he was offended by that, because she was indirecting him about the past situation. Remember, I don't feel like Michael's got over that. I don't think a lot of men would, like, if it's not been addressed appropriately. So when he made that face, he's like, why are you looking my direction? Like, don't do that. Like, don't be stupid. Like, stop that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was his face, right? And so this is what I say: the past issue, the transgression of your ex, I put here, is a reason for the madness, but it's also past issues don't just go away. Transgressions don't just go away. When you cut me, the cut may heal, but it may leave a scar. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. That scar is going to be a reminder of your madness forever. There's just some things you can do that won't be taken away. There's some things you can say that just won't be taken away like that. You know what I mean? And so we have to understand that point. So when they go to speak to Dr. Nicole, it's interesting because it's the way that Shay's viewing the thing. She thinks it should just be over and done with. Shay, it don't work like that, darling. It don't work like that. You do me dirty. It don't work like that, sis. Yeah?
Oh, but if we break up, I'm over it in 24 hours. It's that lack of wanting to really just be all in.
So I don't ever want to give off the perception I don't care.
And so he made a point earlier on that he says, I'm over it in 24 hours. And I said, no, you're not. When you say you're over it in 24 hours, this is a benefit for you to block and to guard your heart. I'll say this term, calcify your heart, which is to harden it, so that if anything comes your way that's going to make you vulnerable and in pain, you block it out. But you're also saying it for the other partners. You want Shay to realize, okay, that listen, I could be gone through the door. Behave yourself. What you're looking for is a response from her. There's a certain response that you want from her. You want her to care. The way she says, obviously she doesn't know whether he cares. I think he doesn't know if she truly cares. I know that they're best friends, they're cool and everything like that, but I think there's a part of him that's it's like, I don't know if you care. And we hear that later on because he says about the abandonment issues, right? So that I'm over it in 24 hours is a lie. Let me tell you something, what's going to happen. In 24 hours, what would happen is if you broke up, you go out, find another girl, maybe sleep with her, maybe even, maybe have a nice long conversation, long talk, get excited, and then you realize you can't commit to her. Why? You did it in the dating part of it. You can't do it. You can't do it. Because you see, the part of you that is going to be committed needs time to reset itself. It doesn't work like that. What will happen is you just go out and damage other people to make yourself feel better. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm over in 24 hours is a lie, because all that's going to happen is you're going to transfer that pain elsewhere, which is what a lot of guys do. Instead of dealing with what's coming their way, they transfer that pain and damage elsewhere.
I just don't get emotional like that.
That's not going to work for me. I need some more.
And so it's a way to stop the pain. It's a way to subdue the pain. It's a way to cushion the blow, that I would say as well. Yeah. And he says, obviously, he doesn't get emotional like that. And what I would say is that he's been conditioned to think that. That's not his true nature. He's been conditioned to not have too much emotion. Yeah. Some men like to say, I'm not really emotional. It's not. You've been conditioned that way. What you've grown up in a very stoic house, in a house where maybe you've been very independent. Remember we spoke about this love attachment styles, the 5 of them. And some of the attachment styles are to do with the fact that you've grown up in a household where you've been independent. Therefore, there's been a lack of love in coming your way, which he explains. There's a lack of love that comes your way from your family. And so therefore, you've had an independent spirit. You've had to fend for yourself all your life. Therefore, the emotion stuff doesn't sink in with you because you don't need it. For you don't need it because I need to get things done. I've always had to rely on myself. So what's the point of having emotions? Let me deal with the logic. Logic never fails me. Emotion does. Okay, right? And then she said that she needs more emotion and be more attached to her. And I think Dr. Nicole banged this so hard. That was so powerful.
You can't now want him to be affected, but then you didn't want him to be affected when you ghosted him. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Well, she said, you want him to be more emotional with you. And very much so, I understand that. But at the same time, you want him to be emotional, but when you were leaving and ghosting, you didn't want him to be emotional then, did you? Because that would have stopped you, that would have prohibited the way you left, right? You didn't want him to care then. But now you're in a relationship, you want him to care. And that's very difficult to do. And so when she made that point, I was like, oh. And the thing about Shay is that she's very, let's get it on. Let's get it going. Let's move it. Without actually dealing with the actual true situation. She's a person that doesn't want to look at her own faults. She assumes that, fam, this thing, that's happened, okay, you done your part, I done my part, let's move forward. And it's not like that. No, you've done your part heavy. You've done your part heavy. And so you need to slow down and find out what this person actually needs from you. And so I understand the emotional side of things that you need a shade from him, but you need to be able to allow for those emotions to happen. Are you a safe space right now? You're a friend and you're a good friend, but are you creating a safe emotional space? Are you allowing yourself to be vulnerable? And the thing is, because you feel like you've dealt with the past issue, you've assumed. Therefore, no safe space can come into creation because you're assuming that he should be okay. Yeah.
We move forward because obviously now I'm ready.
When he can be vulnerable and know that you can be trusted.
Family left him in a way as well. His family left him in a way, and have abandoned, I doesn't say abandoned him, but some family things have happened that have led them to feel abandoned, right? And what she did when she ghosted was trigger that response in fear. She triggered it, right? And that's when she makes it clear that she didn't just switch once. She switched up twice. Once is like, I made a mistake. Twice is taking a piss. Like, real spit. Twice is taking a mick, bro. It's taking the mick. Like, you done it once, and that can be like, you know what, I didn't know what I was doing kind of thing, but I knew what I was doing. Twice is like, I knew exactly what I was doing, and I got to do it, you know? And then you come back because you realize you didn't find anything better. At that point, that doesn't make him feel valued. That doesn't make him feel loved. That doesn't make him feel like he's special. That doesn't make me feel good, you know? That's going to make me feel like a dickhead twice.
Never even
But
brought this up before.
I'm saying you know what you did.
Wow.
You know, and then she was stunned at the fact that obviously about her leaving caused him to feel the way he felt. Because for her, they'd never discussed it. So I can understand. A part of her would have been like, okay, you've never told me this way. Like, I thought you just get over it. Like, you're a man, da-da-da. Like, you have a naive way of thinking about men. Yeah, you get over it, da-da-da. Right? But part of me also says, as you wanted more emotion, surely you'd be understanding of the fact that if somebody decides they're going to suddenly leave you, if somebody decides they're suddenly going to ghost on you, this would have a lasting effect. The fact that she was stunned me. It's like, you're telling me you never thought that this would be a problem. Guys, let me tell you something. There are certain behaviors that we do that trigger past responses in your individual partner. If you have a partner, you need to be able to sometimes just go, I know you're acting in a bit of a mad way. What's happening? It's funny because me and the missus were conversating the other day, and the way she reacted, I wasn't, you know, this is a training I'm having to train myself. I didn't react in the best way. I was like, well, in the end, I was like, I tried to ask her what's going on, and she wouldn't give me the answer, right? But I was asking the wrong question. I should have been asking her, what is your fear? And I didn't, because that takes training to ask that question. Instead, I was like, what's up? What's going on with you? And then I gave up. I said, you know what? I'm done with this. And then once you know, we both got frustrated and we came back together, she explained her point. And once she explained it, I was like, oh, I get it. Okay, why didn't you explain it to me in the beginning? Well, I didn't ask the right questions either. See, me reacting the way I reacted and getting frustrated and impatient was also to do with my own fear too. I don't have to deal with this. Like, you're doing mad things. Like, but actually, I should have had the patience and actually slowed down and gone, hold on a minute. What was my training? The training here is to keep asking to get the why. If I can't get the why, then I haven't really got the answer. Yeah? And this is where I feel like Shay is saying that she wants him to be more emotional, but she herself is missing the emotions here. You know? And she took advantage of his goodness and his kindness and mercies that follow us all the days of our lives and went out and returned. And he said about the lack of accountability and ownership.
It would be nice to see if, like, she would just take accountability.
Because you can't now want him to be affected, but
she hasn't. I don't think she's fully acknowledged that what she did was moving mad. She might have said, "I'm sorry," but she's never fully acknowledged it and taken accountability and said, "Hey, look, do you know what? That was really bad of me." Like, da da da. But she's quick to move into let's get married. And so and again, this is shown later on, the way that she goes, like, you shouldn't hold on to it for a whole year. The insensitivity, the lack of understanding that your man can be emotional, the incredulous mindset that you think that just because you did it last year, the person's going to get over it. Would you just get over it? You wouldn't just get over it, would you? It's a situation, it's painful. And so that for me showed that she's not emotionally in tune. Even though she says she wants more emotion, she's not emotionally intelligent to be in tune.
Because he's never said it before. If he showed me that he was hurt, then I would have been apologetic.
It would be nice to see if, like, she would just take accountability.
Basically what she's really alluding to is that if you showed me you're hurt, I would have understood. So you want me to break down and cry? I break down and cry, so walk on by. You want me to do that? You want me to do Faith Evans? You want me to do Mercy Gray? You want me to do all these tears and emotions before you understand that what you did hurt me? Again, that's what I'm talking about, emotional intelligence, right? And so, you know, I think, and here's the thing that's really concerning, I think, about the Shay situation is that it's the way that she doesn't understand that her behavior here is not great. She's oblivious to it, dismissive to it. And that, for me, is the reason why she was able to ghost in the first place. Her dismissiveness, her lack of accountability in taking control of her actions and saying it's me, is the reason why she was able to ghost in the first place. It's the reason why. You know? And so when she said, okay, yeah, I hear that, so when does he forgive me? Again, the focus is on you trying to speed up things.
So when does he forgive me for this stuff? We move forward, because obviously now I'm ready.
When he can be vulnerable.
Rather than saying, okay, I've got to live through these feelings. She doesn't want to go through what she's done to hurt him. She doesn't want to acknowledge that. She doesn't want to go back through it, because again, that would mean self-critical analysis of oneself, to self-reflect and say, hey, there is some bad parts of me. See, people are, and this is again, leading back to this. This is talking about living in a place of denial. You know, she was unable to. She wanted to be forgiven very quickly. She wanted to be saying, when is it going to be over? You know, when are we going to move past this? And the truth of the matter is, the reason why we can't move past it is because you're not actually showing true remorse. And the reason why I can tell you that is I've dealt with, and a lot of times I've dealt with a lot of these issues. When I got cheated on, hey, kabro, kaba. When I got cheated on, yeah, the person didn't give the remorse that I was looking for. Like you're not showing that you're remorseful. What you're sorry for is for the person's unable to reflect within themselves, right, and go deeply within themselves. Say, hey, actually, do you know what? Here's a problem. And if I have to keep bringing it to you about why this is a problem, you're not self-reflecting. You just want to bury your head in the sand and hope it's going to go away, and not deal with the fact that you're just as dark as anybody else. There's a denial on your part that you're actually dark and that you're actually somebody who needs help. That you need to acknowledge that you are not as good as you think you are. That we're not just going to get over it. No. You know, and some people can't cope with the fact that they have to look like the bad person, right? You know, they don't want to look like they're the villain in the story. But you are a villain in this part of the story. You can be a hero later on, but deal with the fact that you're a villain right now. Yeah, that inability is a problem. You know, and so when he says obviously he doesn't know you can trust her, you know, she was like, "What? What do you mean you can't trust me?"
I don't know. I mean, I can't sit there and say that I trust that you'll never leave. That's why I don't really want to get married.
He's telling you, because some things went down.
She was like, what? And the reason why is because you left, ghosted B twice. Of course he doesn't feel like he can trust you. Do you know what I mean? You may do it again. And so from Shay's point of view, I want her to understand this. Look, you have to get to a place of listening, not to respond, not to be just forgiven, but to hear his story. Listen to him in his full entirety. Where you've gone wrong. Don't interrupt. Don't get all angry about the fact that you're the villain in the story. Hear it out. You understand? Because evidently he hasn't left the relationship, so he still wants to be with you. But his fear right now is that you will abandon again. And if I get into a marriage and I'm locked in, you could abandon me then, and then I'm in a full-time marriage and you're abandoning me. Nah. So she has to go to a place where she understands, hey, you know what? What I did in the past, okay, is affecting you now. I'm sorry. I apologize for my behavior. And you know what? At the time, I wasn't really understanding you. Leave it there. Now let him explain his story. Yeah? Let him take you through the motions and the emotions and the story arc. You know what I mean? Let him get it off his chest to you. Don't make him feel like a fool because he's got emotions about the fact you hurt him. Don't let him feel like an idiot because you know he's sensitive to these things. It's human nature to feel sensitive about something that someone's hurt you with. You know what I mean? So yeah, I thought that was a very interesting conversation. I think Shay's lack of ability to see certain things is a concern. But yeah, we'll let that go in it, and we'll talk about when they came back and spoke with Dr. Nicole, and we'll go from there. Guys, make sure you like, you share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below as well. We appreciate you. Stay locked.